I'm David.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Colin.
We're here to review cars.
At the limit.
This is Track Attack. Welcome to Season 2 of Track Attack. I'm lucky because I'm joined by our new hosts, David and Rob. And today we get to review these awesome M cars. Of course, we have the new M3 against the tried and true classic, the M2. So the question we're going to pose today, is the new M3 still as great of a driver's car as the old M2? David?
There's no doubt that the new car is extremely fast. It's always going to be faster. But is it the ultimate driving machine? Do we need to go a little bit further back?
Or do we go with the M2, which is going back to the roots of the BMW M series. Simple, small, agile. This is the ultimate driving machine.
Good arguments, gentlemen. Let's take it to the track and find out.
Hello there. So Rob here in the M2. The M2 is supposed to be the quintessential back to the roots of the M class. Going back to that simplification, going to lights, power, fun that BMW M classes are known for. When it comes to that simplification, we're not talking about tons of different settings. That's not what the people want. Those M class, those track rats out there who want to lap a car, or that executive that wants to remember the golden days of yore out playing. You don't want all those gimmicks, the settings or the aids. What you want is something simple with good M power to go out to the track. Let's talk configuration, right? Typical M class, typical M BMW, right? Front engine, rear wheel drive, that classic sort of sedan configuration. 6-cylinder inline 6, so they're still doing that. It is turbocharged, however, but the turbo kicks in so quickly that your maximum torque's at 1500 RPM. Horsepower, 365 with 343 pounds of torque. That's really going to move this, because it's a 3,300 pound car. So that's a power to weight ratio of 206 horsepower per ton. The M2 is 206 inches in wheelbase. You have to go back 92, 99, the E36, the classic, which you'll probably see a few track rats out there, probably see some of those out of the track. For weight wise, it's only a couple hundred pounds heavier, but a lot more powerful, of course. But it's that creep of size that you have with so many of the cars today, right? The M3 right now is 6 inches longer in wheelbase and 12 inches long in total. That car is getting bigger and bigger, and what that means is the result is when you're on the track, there's a lot more inertia. It's 500 pounds heavier. The M2 is an incredibly tossable car. You are going to have so much fun out on the track with this vehicle. The transitions, I turn the wheel, it goes right where I want to go, very quick. There isn't that inertia like you'd have in one of the bigger M3s at 500 pounds, that you turn one, you gotta go, you turn one, go over, like gotta move over. This car, tossable, agile. I am definitely having tons of smiles when I'm driving this car. What are my impressions about the inside of this car right now? It's an interesting thing. It's an M-Class, but the inside feels kind of a little bit cheaper to me. It's got a couple of token pieces of, well, carbon fiber. I guess a couple places here and there and on the dash, which is fine and all, but that's, doesn't have some of the more vibrant bits on it to say that, yes, you've arrived, you're driving an M-Class. It kind of still feels like a little bit normal M level to me. The seats in the car, even though they're leather, hold me in quite nicely. The wheel, it's got a few gadgets on it, but once again, it is very nice and secure, very easy to grip. I have to say that the M2 fits my personal driving style. I'm very much like to say a Zen driver, where my butt in the seat is giving me that feeling of a gyroscope, of what's actually going on with the car, the pitch and yaw. My hands on the wheel is giving me that feeling of what's going on with those front tires. My feet tell me what's going on with the back wheels. So a car like this, which is so tossable, so agile, so responsive, completely fits my personality and who I am. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do here, the other setting, is for the exhaust. We're going to lower down the windows so really be able to hear it. So you push button front here twice, and then when you come around, there we go. Beautiful symphony of sound. This still makes me feel like I am actually in an M car. When I drive the 3, it feels huge. I don't know if I'm in a BMW or if I'm in a Mercedes. It's like driving a Cadillac. And who wants to lap a Cadillac? So let's talk about the history of the M-Class. So the M is a subsidiary of BMW, and it's been tasked with performance modifications to the cars. M was engines, bodywork, suspensions, the aerodynamics of the cars. But with BMW, the M series, what they wanted to specialize in for the engines was all about displacement, was about high revving, normally aspirated. I want to lap a car that I'm going to play with, I'm going to work, that's going to basically work with me to get the absolute best times on the track. So the M2 comes in a CS, the ultimate track package for the M2. 440 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque. Comes with a power-to-weight ratio of 260, whereas this was 208. Much more aggressively styled. Certainly the car that all track rats would aspire to when it comes to the M2. So the one thing I find funny between this and the 3, this still actually looks like a BMW M series that we're sort of familiar with. The 3 Series, that grille, just because you have twice as much grille doesn't mean you have twice as much car. This car, you can be in complete partnership with and come out of the day with a massive grin on your face.
David here, and you know what? It continues to feel like I'm at home. They deem me the resident BMW person. I don't want to be typecast, but I do really enjoy BMWs. Kind of a family thing for me. But the thing is, there's a reason why it feels at home. This car is easy to just get in and go. I know Colin's going to love this car. The fact that you can continue to just drive it and learn, and it's a relationship that you build. Let's dial back for a second, because there's a problem, and it's not necessarily with this car. We'll get to the nose in a second, but it really has to do with the dilution of the M brand. It's not just M, it's AMG as well, and S and RS. The fact is the M-Town used to be a hamlet. Just a small little thing off the Autobahn, a little town that you'd pop in, and only a few people knew about it. Well, nowadays, it's a metropolis. Anyone can grab a passport and go to M-Town. You've got a regular 3 Series, you can get an eBay M badge, or you've got a regular 3 Series with the M package that may just have a set of wheels and a couple extra badges on the seats. Let's get back to the actual M cars though, because here in the 2021 M3, it's a little bit more about the enjoyment factor. And if we're diluting the brand, are the actual essence cars, your M3s, M5s, are they actually as fun as they always were? There's two versions of this car, which I find weird in marketing on its own. You can have the manual transmission, but for some reason you can have it with less power. So 473 horsepower with the manual, or you get the comp, and that's got over 500, but you're stuck with that automatic. Is that a bad thing? Probably not if you're chasing lap times, because it's proven that that is the fastest way to get around a track. But going back to that essence thing, the M cars are all about the feel. This car is a continual improvement. It's incredibly fast. If I'm comparing this car to the M2, I'm just going to talk about the seats. These seats are incredible. Geez, they hug me so well. The shoulders are gripping me in. My bolsters are there. Even the base of the seat is wonderful. They're super light. Just a little bit better than the M2. BMWs have that classic layout. Front engine, rear wheel drive, and play with it. It's a playful chassis. Is it the best chassis? No, I mean, neither is a rear-engined Porsche. The argument is that mid-engine is the best. Doesn't matter if it's front or back. Mid is mid. It's the best weight distribution. The turn-in of this car is surprising. Weights continue to rise. If we compare it to the M2, it's already a good 3 or 4 passengers heavier. And when we're talking about weight, it's all about how you carry it. There's all sorts of neat features in this car. I've got a wicked heads-up display that could be on the level of distracting if you're at the track, but it is in plain sight. I'm sure you could turn it off if you wanted to, but it really is obvious and gives you just what you want. I want speed, I want RPM, and that's what I'm seeing here. If we want to talk about what's different, it's a lot quieter in here. It's a nicer place to be, and I actually think this car sounds better on the outside and on the inside. Listen to this. Epic. From the outside and with the windows down, this car sounds fantastic. But that shows the modernization problem. Because they're trying to make this so comfortable, well, you've got so much sound deadening that it doesn't sound the same. And we all know that they're piping some of the noise through the speakers now. And debate that with what you will, it's just not the same as the visceral. But, you know, maybe the rear seats are more comfortable and thus they're blocking more noise. That's the trade-off. And that's the dilution. I keep talking about this dilution thing. It's like, well, maybe that's just a drop in the bucket, but it's different. If I'm going to summarize this car, it's pretty simple, actually. It's fast, which means it's got bragging rights. And I mean, it literally puts down numbers. But also just seems so settled and beautiful. The interior options, all the displays and everything, it's incredibly comfortable. So if I'm going to the grocery store, or if I'm going to the track, or if I'm going on a date, this car does it all. And that's pretty awesome. So is that the M brand? They don't market it as the ultimate driving machine anymore. So is it the ultimate everything machine? Well, I think so. There's many different ways that you can do schnitzel, okay? But it's still pounded and breaded meat. I'm sure you can do chicken or pork, whatever. But you can choose a basic schnitzel, gravy on top, gravy with mushrooms, veggies, maybe even a barbecue sauce schnitzel. But the base is still the same. You've got a nice, good weight distribution, great turn-in, great feeling through the bum, great feeling through the hands. So your basic schnitzel's still there. What I'm starting to realize here is that although it's not the M car of the past, this is kind of a stepping point. Before you know it, this type of car is going to be electric. And it's going to be even faster yet. So where do you find the fine line of being electric or gas, manual, DCT, whatever you want to talk about? The fact is, these are great on the track. Just absolutely epic. It doesn't matter. For now, this is the era that we're in, and this is the car of that era. Rob, it really comes down to the fact that it's still an M car. It's fast and it's the latest and greatest. A schnitzel does not change. It's still the same meat, it's still the same breading. But Even though I can feel the track and it feels great and you get that communication, I don't think it's as intrinsic as what you're driving.
I understand, and I love schnitzel, but I don't like that amount of schnitzel. I still believe that this is the purest M-Class car. When I was on the track, I felt more connected to the road. I felt more in control of the car, that everything I thought and did was instantly translated to the car and to the road where I wanted to go.
I think a big part of that has to do with the weight. There is a significant 3 or 4 passenger difference between these two cars. Not only that, half a foot of wheelbase. It's a smaller car.
Not just that, not just to have that 6 inches, you're 12 inches longer overall. You're a foot longer. Sure, you have the extra weight, you've got the extra power, but like that power to weight ratio is still fairly close.
It comes down to that short track versus long track. It's dependent on the scenario. One day you might want to have this. The other day, or most days of the week, you'd probably want to have this.
True, the BMW M, where they work is at the Nürburgring. This car is designed for the Nürburgring. Whereas this is the car where you can take anywhere. You could take to a small track like the Toronto Motorsport Park, somewhere small, and have that fun. You could auto slalom this and have a lot of fun with. That, it's big.
And that's maybe where the fun gets diluted. The M brand seems to be changing, and the idea of being fast, that doesn't change. That's a numbers thing. But the sound, the feel, that starts to fade away when you're going for the numbers that get printed out in the magazine article.
True. The smiles I got from this car it was astounding. This felt like, once again, I was out there in a car more old school, much more old school. Not figuring out, what am I going to adjust? What am I going to change?
All the settings, my gosh.
Exactly.
Driving this, put a grin on my face. That was ear to ear.
Agreed.